Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Network Merchandise Shop. Pick up your logo merchandise by heading over to abvnetwork.com, clicking on Shop, and start filling your basket today. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for something for yourself, a customized gift, or logoed items for your business gift shop, the Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. That's the number 2 in the Bar to Go. Don't forget our friends at Neely Family Distillery now ship their unique distilled spirits directly to you. To order yours, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss bourbon things to see in Kentucky for history lovers. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Cailee Baker and Kathy Cool.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Howdy.
Hello.
Hey, so yeah, we're going to have some fun today. We're going to be talking a little bit different perspective. Say you're into history, and what can you do if you're also a bourbon fan that kind of combines those two together? So we'll get to that in just a bit. For right now, Miss Beka Sue came up with something via her random question generator. What do you got there?
This one says, what game have you spent the most hours playing? And Steve, I know you any type of game, I suppose, is what it would. I mean, we could cut it down to just like card and board games, or just game in general.
Well, okay. As long as poker counts, I definitely.
I would say, yeah,
hours and hours playing poker with my buddies. So, yeah, I mean, and I love it. It goes by quick, and I don't know. And I started playing when I was in high school, and the most famous card game that I could ever remember was, I used to work nights in a grocery store, so I'd work 10 to 6. And we played cards, probably started at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, somewhere in there. Played cards till I had to go to work. And I went and worked a full shift, came back. The guys were still playing, just joined the game after the 6 o'clock I got off work. So, yeah, we just play all the time. So cards is definitely by far spent more time doing that than anything else. Are
you like one of those guys that you see in Sopranos that like plays for like 48 hours straight?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You'll do that.
I'll do that. Yes, of course. Yeah. I love cards. So.
Big hands, Akeley.
What's that?
You guys play pretty big hands.
Yeah, certainly. And back in the day too, high school into college years, once we got jobs, it would be nothing for, $1,200-$1,500 in a pot and stuff like that. So, and there'd be times when you owe money, there'd be a sheet involved, and you owe someone money, you got to pay it off over time.
How many legs have you broken, Steve?
Quite a few.
Money.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, we definitely used to play high stakes. I don't really get into the high stakes games anymore. Not that I don't want to play that. Not that I don't think I have enough skills for that. It's just you can lose friendships, and I don't want to. Yeah, to me, it's about playing and giving the amount of shit that goes on in a card game, giving each other hell. That's the fun of the card game to me, even more so than the game itself. So I like to go kind of lower stakes, and just the fun of playing is what's most important to me now. Not trying to make a living off of it. So that's the game for me. All right. What do you think, Kathy? What game?
So if we want to eliminate like Angry Birds and crushing candies, because those are readily available on cell phones and whatnot, I'd have to go back to my youth and say it's somewhere between Happy Days and
so is this a board game based on the TV show?
Oh yeah, the board game based on the TV show Happy Days.
Okay.
And we're not doing Atari, right?
Right.
Frogger doesn't count, or Miss Pac-Man. Yeah, I mean, as a kid.
What about Monopoly? That's a long game anyway.
We played some Monopoly growing up.
That game could
one game.
Really bad at card games because I have too many tells, and I don't know what I'm doing well enough to.
Do you want to play cards?
for $1,200 a hand, Steve.
I'd like that. We don't play like that. That's the old days. That's when we were single and had money. That's when we were all single and had money.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No,
Once we all got married, that ended.
I'm terrible at it, but well, here we go. So during the quarantine, we did a lot of really difficult jigsaw puzzles, and I noticed that the ABV Network shop
we have a jigsaw puzzle now.
A jigsaw puzzle. So
yes.
I'll put your plug in there, and I'll say we really did enjoy doing some jigsaws during quarantine.
It's of a Rick House, so yes, it's pick one up in the ABV Network shop. We're now a lifestyle brand now. So how about that? Cailee, how about you? By the way, we have pens, and Beka didn't know this. She yelled at me the other day. It's actually one of these pens right here. She's like, I worked for this company 5 years, and I didn't know we had
great pens. And I'm sitting there with Steve, and I'm like, oh, I need a pen. And I pick it up, and I'm like,
it's like I've only worked here 5 years.
The weight on this pen is great. And this is our pen?
What about the Glide, though?
You didn't know that?
Well, the Glide was key. Yeah, it was great.
Glide is the best part.
The whole thing was beautiful. And I had no idea we had pens because I don't have any.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get no respect around here.
Are we excluding video games or are we not? Are we
excluding video games? No.
Okay.
Let's hear old school games. Yeah.
Old school games. I mean, Monopoly, honestly, I spent a lot of time playing that as a kid, but honestly, you could play it like 5 times and make up for the most amount of hours spent on any game. So,
did you like Monopoly better or Clue? I liked Clue when I was a kid.
I liked Clue, but my brother, he's a little bit older than me, and he had the Simpsons Clue growing up, and that was probably the game I spent the most hours on. It was
Clue, the Simpsons version. Okay.
Yeah, the Simpsons version.
All right. Well, Beka, you asked the question. How about you? What game?
We probably played the Game of Life.
Oh yeah, that's a good game. I used to like that game back in the day.
I thought it was so much fun because you were like,
you get the little car, you get married,
you're like
kids. Yeah.
If you're getting kids, you're getting jobs.
The convertible
though.
Yeah, the convertible's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, I don't know why, but it was just a fun game to play, and so we played the Game of Life.
Yeah, I like that game too. So that's a good one. Yeah, very cool. Well, there you go. There were our favorite games. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with Kathy. Kathy, I don't think you've started one of these. So what do you got?
So I went to Westport Whiskey and Wine when we were down a couple weeks ago.
Place is fantastic, by the way.
They have love them. They had a bluegrass pick, and I noticed the label had changed because I have this one from, I think it's about 2017.
Okay.
And I haven't opened it since then, but it's 90 proof and it's batch 11.
Okay.
From Bluegrass Distillers.
You talked over your own cork pop. Terrible job there. Terrible job.
Sorry. I was more excited about the whiskey than I was about winning the cork pop.
That's a rookie mistake.
Like a game, Kathy.
Yeah.
Eyes on the prize.
The kid's still learning. I'll tell you, she's still learning. All right. Cailee, how about you?
I actually have a Four Roses single barrel strength private selection from the Nashville Bourbon Social Club. Okay. I actually was born and raised in Nashville and found that being my little home for a little while after I moved back down here from Michigan.
All right. It's got a tater sticker on there. What's that? What's the sticker say?
So it's pretty cool. It's called the Queen.
Queen.
And I don't know who designed this. I think it was like
cool.
Jason Jodaway's, who's the owner of the big wig in the group, his son's girlfriend or something designed it. But but it's cool, and I've never.
It's a collectible now. It's a collectible because they don't allow you to put stickers on there anymore. You have to sign a thing saying I won't put a sticker on here after I buy it to do a Four Roses.
I know. So I'm definitely holding tight to all of my tater stickers that I got. But this one's pretty cool. I really, really enjoy that label. So we're gonna see how the whiskey is, and here we go. Oh, I was like nothing there.
Wow, nothing.
All right.
Nothing. So here's where we got. Beka, you and I.
A whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, it's you and I going against one another.
The whiskey is good though.
Yeah. Oh, I bet it is. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Four Roses got to be good. I've got the Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond. This is the newer version of the Bottle and Bond. You know, they just continued the really cool one and give us this one now that people overcharge for it. So here we go. Okay, not much there, but maybe enough to win because it's just
Beka at least audible.
It was audible. So Beka and I, what do you got, Beka? Now she's going for a good one. She was going to do like a.
I have the one I'm going to do. So the bottle I have here is from Austin. What's that name?
Oh, the guy from Colorado?
Yes.
That was on Moonshiners? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Austin. He made some vodka made from.
No. He introduced me to some guys from New Jersey that made this.
Oh, they made it. Okay.
They're from Ukraine. It's made out of peas, though. 100% peas.
Out of peas?
Made from peas.
Sounds terrible.
Yes, it's
peas.
It's peas? Made with peas. It's vodka. So I'm going to be drinking vodka on the Bourbon Daily for the first time ever.
Made out of peas.
And it's made from peas from guys from the Ukraine.
Nothing.
Nothing. I win.
Steve, you can do a screw top at this point. And
It actually sounded like your mic was off for a second. Like there was total silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you I was going to drink it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll ask you about that after we do the cheers and you taste it. So
cheers.
Congratulations to me. Cheers, gang.
Cheers.
All right. We're going to let Beka try this pea vodka.
Oh, that's delicious.
I think I'd rather drink vodka made out of day-old donuts.
I know. Peas.
The peas do give it an interesting sweetness, but it's an earthy sweet.
It's vodka. It's supposed to be tasteless and odorless.
It's not tasteless. It's not odorless. It tastes
like a pea moonshine.
Yeah, it's
no.
They definitely carry over. It tastes like pea.
So if you want to sound fancy, you call that a vegetal flavor.
Vegetal flavors.
Vegetal. There you go.
It tastes like pea. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
The guy's father got like executed by the Russian communists back in the day for making bootleg pea liquor or whiskey over there.
Liquor.
And they're recreating the recipe now or something. I don't know. It was real late at night at the ADI conference when I met these guys. But they gave me the bottle.
I just want to say that I may side with the Russians on this one.
Okay. There you go.
I think that needs to be the official drink of Austin Peay State University. Their motto is "Let's go pee."
Let's go pee. There you go.
No, it actually does not taste bad. Actually, I mean, it's supposed.
You distill anything to 190, proof or 190. It's gonna,
Becca's gonna like it.
That's fair.
There you go. All right, what we'll do next, we'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about Kentucky. We're going to be talking about bourbon, and we're going to be talking about what's out there for history lovers. We'll do that in just a few. Hello, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, and let's talk for a moment about our sponsors, the people that make this show happen. First up is our friends at Moonshine University. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification at their office in Louisville. The information I learned through lead instructor Colin Blake and their team there is something that I continue to draw upon frequently in my role at the ABV Network. It truly is the standard of establishing a benchmark of knowledge of the bourbon industry. From history to production to brands and people, it's all there. Check out their full listing of programs, including Executive Bourbon Steward Certification, production classes if you're considering starting a distillery, and much more at moonshineuniversity.com. I also want to talk about Neely Family Distillery. Back in May of 2018, I met Royce Neely at Limestone Branch's Craft Bourbon Festival. It ended up not only being the start of a great friendship, I started to truly learn about what makes craft whiskey so amazing. You see, I had been a bourbon drinker for over 30 years at that point, and like many people who had been drinking bourbon a long time, I was hard-coded into thinking big bourbon was where it was at and craft was on a journey to get there. Spending time with Royce and learning the things he does to make his whiskey taste better started to really get me to appreciate how things like sweet mashing, open top fermentation, pot distillation, and the grains you are using not only makes your product taste better coming off the still, but also out of the barrel as well. I still love heritage brands and they make up a bulk of my collection. But when you find a craft distiller that is truly dedicated to the craft of distilling, you are drinking some of the best whiskey out there on the market today. That's exactly what's happening at Neely Family Distillery today. Check them out on the web at neelyfamilydistillery.com, or better yet, stop by and see them at their distillery in Sparta, Kentucky. And now, back to the show.
Saying Bourbon Daily?
Yeah.
Okay, you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
No, your name first.
My name.
Who you are. Yeah.
Hi, this is Jason Souter.
And
you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Perfect.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about things to do in Kentucky for history lovers.
Yes, we are. So I'm going to kick this one off, and I'll put a plug in for my friend Royce Neely. And Cailee, I think you may be able to dovetail off of this one once I talk about it. If you're into history, and American history really goes side with making whiskey. And there's almost, it's not a museum at Neely Family Distillery. It's a distillery, but throughout the distillery, Royce has collected stills for years, and they run the gamut for hundreds of years of stills. And each one has a story and what a different take on why they made it the way they did. And that's some great history right there. And Cailee, I'm sure you got that going on at Casey Jones too, with the background of that distillery. So tell us a little bit about the history you can pick up by visiting your place.
Well, you can definitely pick up a lot of history at Casey Jones. My boss, AJ Arlen Casey Jones, his grandfather was a Prohibition era moonshiner. So you can imagine growing up with a grandfather like that. He picked up some tools and trades in his life, and he got the unique opportunity to rescue a still that his grandfather had made for a visitor center in like 1967. And then he just couldn't help but scratch the itch to start moonshining and use what his grandfather taught him when he was younger to pick up family tradition and the family history and the recipe as well. We still use the same corn from the same place that he used to back in the day, and the same yeast strain and all that good stuff. So it's definitely history oriented. Then to backpack off that, not only Casey Jones has a great history about it. One of my other favorite places to visit, other than Neely Family, which has a great history as well, would be Glens Creek Distilling Company, Old Cranky
Sure.
Dave over there. The history of him being in the Old Crow.
Yeah, Old Crow, one of the all-time great brands ever.
Right.
And yeah.
And he's so incredible. He's just, so friendly. And every time I go there, he makes me feel like an old friend of his. So I really have, if I had to recommend 3 places for any history lover to go as far as distilleries, I would recommend Neely Family, Casey Jones, and Glens Creek Distilling.
Yeah. Dr. James Crow himself actually worked at that distillery for a little bit, which is very cool. At the end of his career, he didn't start out there. The first Old Crow distillery was not that one, and he worked at a different one. Then he left, and then when he came back, that was the Old Crow distillery, and he worked at that distillery then. So very cool stuff there. But yeah, so much history when you got
Woodford Reserve, right, Steve?
Yeah,
what's that?
He worked at Woodford Reserve, present day Woodford Reserve.
Yes, yeah, that's where he did. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But he did leave there then, and then he went back to the Old Crow distillery, which was the one in Glens Creek right now. So yes.
Road.
Yeah, down the road. So very, very cool stuff. And when you're talking history, I mean, if you're going to Glens Creek, you got to then go to the castle, which, of course, where Colonel E.H. Taylor was. And he's so involved in whiskey itself and the important legislative work that he got involved in for the Bottled and Bond Act of 1897, which they kind of copied and used for the FDA. So there's the Old Taylor Distillery right there, which is the original name of the castle there. So, Kelly's got one of the old decanters. Yeah, his grandfather has a full one of those. So,
I'm very jealous. This was like I think $20 at a Michigan antique store like 3 years ago. But when I first went to the actual distillery, I was like, oh my god,
that's it. Yeah, that's the actual thing. So yeah, very cool.
God.
What, Kathy, what would you say would be some good pointers if someone's interested in history? Where could be some good places they go in Kentucky?
So I know there is tons of history with the bourbon, but we were at a Kentucky Bourbon Affair event, and I'm a jerk because I don't remember the name of this horse ranch, but it's where all of they have a burial ground for the horses that have won Triple Crowns. And if you want to just kind of if you're taking someone to Kentucky who isn't really, I don't know why you would, but a bourbon drinker, you could visit some of these places that talk about the horse racing side of.
Okay. So there was a graveyard because that's the ultimate that is the ultimate compliment for how great a horse is. If they bury a horse, that means that horse was amazing, because of course a horse is huge and it takes up a lot of room. So most part they're going to just burn them. You know, that's unfortunate if they're not being fed for dog food, and it's not even it's a mid-level champion. They're just going to burn the thing.
And we did learn that like some of the older or the more acclaimed winners get their whole body buried.
Yes,
but for most of them, it's just their head and their hooves.
Head and the hooves. Yeah. Yeah, so
that's the compliment.
It's a compliment. Yeah, if you get your whole body buried, that means you are like a secretariat. You're
decapitate you and then cut off your hands and feet, and we'll bury you somewhere nice
in this place of great honor.
Right, exactly. Unless you're secretariat. Secretariat is the whole thing. Yeah, buried. So
interesting. Yeah. I think one place that makes sense, Steve, is over in Georgetown, the spot where Elijah Craig allegedly.
Sure.
Bourbon, and then right there is Bourbon 30s right there, and also there's a really good little restaurant as well, literally right next to that creek. But that one I think is a cool place to go to over in Georgetown for bourbon. History. What else? What about the
Royal Springs?
Is that the name of it? Yeah, that's the name of it. Royal Springs. What about the where they're excavating out that old the ruins, Steve?
Bourbon Pompeii.
Bourbon Pompeii.
Bourbon Pompeii at Buffalo Trace.
About that in a while. Yes.
They hired him on full time now. Buffalo Trace did.
He's full time. Yeah. Nick, who's a bourbon archaeologist, is full time at Buffalo. He's been doing I know he's been working at the Green Hill Cemetery where Freddie Johnson has been donating some money and stuff like that. I know he's working at that, and he's working at Bourbon Pompeii, and so the bourbon archaeologist now is a full time Sazerac employee, which is pretty wild, right?
Wow, interesting. Isn't that not many people can say that they're the bourbon archaeologist?
Yeah. Right? I think that's a one of one title. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
no one else has that as a title.
No,
the Hall of Fame probably.
Yeah.
But that's a good place to go to.
Yeah. We were just out of one. If you like bourbon history, I mean, Maker's Mark. I mean, you talk about amazing history. I mean, the Samuels family living there, and of course, starting a brand there. And we used to hear about. We heard about some card games that they had there. They weren't playing poker. They were playing gin rummy or something like that. It wasn't poker, but that would be like Jim Beam, Colonel Sanders, and Bill Samuels Sr. I mean.
And
Julian Van Winkle.
Pappy Van Winkle. I mean, geez, could you imagine? Oh my gosh. I said, if you could get that on video, that's worth $1 billion. If you could just get a photo of it, that's $1 million photo right there. Where it's like, hey, this was taken, back in the 60s when these guys would get together and play cards.
So can we maybe stage that?
That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Can be one of them. Cailee can be one of them.
Yeah.
Can be one of them. We'll stage it. We'll make it look like the 60s.
And then we'll sell it for $1 million. Yeah.
Sell it for $1 million.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
The owner of our distillery has a pretty eclectic collection of clothing. I'm sure I could find something to fit that photo.
Okay. A clothing collection. Okay, that's interesting.
Well, she just always wears, if it's not a Casey Jones shirt, it's something really cool that I always have to comment on. So I don't know, just vintage stuff.
Vintage stuff. Okay, that's very cool. What else might be a good history item? I mean, Beam, of course. I mean, you talk about, history that ties into America's history, going back to the start of America, and the Beams are there making whiskey and, throughout all the years, and the Beam family members, and, Prohibition, leaving the industry and then hurrying up and coming back to it, building the distillery that we see out there today. So, yeah.
I've got another one.
Okay.
It's not Kentucky, but it's right up in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Depending on if you want to go just other kind of interesting, it's bourbon. But Eden Park, where Remus murdered his wife.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's kind of, I'll say he had every right, let's be fair. But it's kind of cool.
Did she break a bottle?
She broke a bottle of his, yeah.
He did more than that.
She took all of his money, all of it. Yes.
She ran off with another man and sold all of his assets.
Not another man. She ran off with the man that put him away.
She ran off with the feds.
Yeah.
Prohibition agents, and sold off all of his assets, and
told his daughter, I just have to do this.
Yeah, and killed her, ran her off the road, and then shot her in front of her.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Remus was, one of the most interesting people from obviously a terrible thing, killing your wife. But he got off, the first person to ever get off for temporary insanity. He invented this plea. He invented the plea of temporary. He's not insane.
Temporary insanity came from Bourbon.
Yes,
I did not know that.
This was the second time that it had ever been used. Temporary insanity, and he had tried it for one of his own. He was a lawyer. He tried it for one of his own guys prior, and then it didn't work that time. And then when
he used it successfully for himself,
then he killed his wife, and they deliberated for like 17 minutes, and they said, "Yep, he was temporarily insane." Even one of the jurors said, "It just would be nice to get him something good he needs something good to happen to him this year."
Was he tried in Kentucky?
I think probably Cincinnati, Ohio.
Ohio area, yeah.
Yeah, he's very.
I can see like the Bourbon people backing him up and being like, "Yeah, that's temporary insanity."
Akeley, I'll tell you another good one is that Indian Creek Distillery.
Indian Creek Distillery.
They run on the original pot stills from like 170 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right there in Ohio too. So Dayton area. Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting history, and there's way more to it than that. And of course, they're working on a couple of historical sites right now. The old T.W. Samuels distillery should be an interesting one. I don't know what that's going to look like when it's done, but yeah, just more and more incorporation of history into it, and I think it makes for a fun thing that allows for a lot of interesting tours and stuff like that. So there you go. There's a couple things you can do history related from the world of bourbon. We'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Cailee, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
Find me on Instagram at Cailee Baker.
All right, Kathy.
I am on Facebook at Kathy Cool. It's KUHL.
All right. How about you, Miss Beka Sue?
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. The important website is abvnetwork.com, where everything that we do is out there. We put all of our past shows out there, which is cool. Go back and listen to any of those that you like. We've got our shop out there. We've got our virtual bourbon events, so much more, abvnetwork.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. Farties, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's chat for a moment about Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you just want to experiment on a small scale on the stove in your kitchen or try your hand at a bigger setup in the backyard, Moonshine Still Pro can help. They have different still offerings as well as accessories and even grains from Goldstone Mill to help you make whiskey on par with what you get from your favorite distillery. They can even assist with a DIY still project by supplying some of the parts you can't make yourself. Check them out at moonshinestillpro.com. At the ABV Network, we're lucky enough to have some great friends. Amongst those friends is the Goldstein family, owners of Goldstone Mill. Goldstone Mill is a full-service mill offering a variety of heritage and heirloom grains. Their unique approach of working with mills around the country allows them to offer you affordable shipping opportunities to meet the unique needs of your distillery or brewery. They will consult with you to ensure the grains you are selecting meets the unique flavor profiles you are looking for. If you are a home brewer or distiller and you're looking for the grains that your local distillery or brewery uses, Goldstone Mill is the place to look. Check them out on the web at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or shoot them an email at hello@goldstonemill.com.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.